Civilization is fragile, much more fragile than most people think. It took thousands of years to build. The Enlightenment, the scientific revolution, industrial progress, human rights, rule of law, all of this concentrated in a few dozen countries, less than 20% of the world's nations. These countries are not just wealthy, they are the carriers of something irreplaceable. Call them what you will, developed nations, the West, the First World. But here's what they really are: humanity's flame. And right now, this flame is flickering. What is a spark of civilization? Why are these countries so important? Not because they're morally superior, not because they're ethnically special, but because they carry institutional memory. Think about it. The rule of law, independent judiciary, free press, scientific institutions, universities, innovation ecosystems. These things didn't appear overnight. They evolved over centuries, through trial and error, through blood and sacrifice. And they exist in concentrated form, in only a handful of places. If you lose these carriers, you don't just lose wealth. You lose the software of civilization, the knowledge of how to maintain these systems, the culture that sustains them, the people who understand them instinctively. You lose the flame. The double trap. 1. The receiving countries. Let's be clear, this is not about immigration itself. This is about volume, speed, and integration capacity. When immigration happens faster than integration, when the inflow exceeds the absorption rate, something breaks. Not immediately, not dramatically, but slowly, quietly. The fabric starts to thin. Social cohesion weakens, trust erodes, parallel societies form. And here's the key: the receiving country doesn't just lose wealth or safety, it loses the carriers. The next generation, the one that should inherit the flame, is diluted, not replaced, not invaded, diluted. Because when population composition shifts rapidly, when 40%, 50%, 60% of newborns come from backgrounds with no institutional memory of liberal democracy, who will carry the flame forward? Again, this is not about individuals. Many immigrants integrate beautifully, but as a system, when volume overwhelms capacity, the flame flickers. Trap 2. The sending countries. But here's what almost no one talks about. The sending countries are losing too. Who leaves? Not the poorest. They can't afford to. Not the least capable. They don't qualify. Who leaves are the educated, the ambitious, the talented, the engineers, the doctors, the entrepreneurs, the very people who could have rebuilt their home countries. This is brain drain, and it's not a metaphor. Every talented engineer who leaves Ghana for Germany, every skilled doctor who leaves India for Canada, every ambitious entrepreneur who leaves Nigeria for the UK, is one less person to build the future back home. So the sending countries stay poor, stay unstable, stay dependent, which creates more pressure to leave, which creates more brain drain, a vicious cycle, the double loss. So let's be clear about what's happening. The rich countries are diluting their institutional carriers, weakening the flame. The poor countries are losing their best and brightest, losing the people who could reignite their own flames. Both sides lose, and humanity as a whole, we're not spreading the flame, we're dimming it everywhere. This is not a political argument. It is an observation of civilization. Now some will say, this sounds like nationalism. This sounds like xenophobia. It's not. This is not about ethnicity. This is not about religion. This is about carrying capacity and institutional memory. Here's the question we need to ask. Can liberal democracy survive when the majority of the next generation has no lived experience of it? Can rule of law survive when most people come from places where law means corruption? Can scientific institutions survive when they're staffed by people from cultures where science was suppressed? Maybe. But it's a gamble. And we're gambling with humanity's most precious inheritance. History doesn't care about intentions. It only records outcomes. When the Greek city-states fell, Greek philosophy went dark for centuries. We're just asking, is something similar happening now, in a different form, across the entire developed world? We still have time. This is not irreversible. This is not a lost cause. But the window is closing. In some countries, Sweden, Germany, France, the tipping point is approaching. In others, Japan, Poland, Hungary, there's still margin, but the trajectory is clear. If current trends continue, if nothing changes, the flame will go out. Not everywhere, not all at once, but in enough places that humanity loses its carriers, loses the institutional knowledge, loses the software. And starting from scratch? That took us 2,000 years last time. So why are we making this series? Not to stoke fear, not to promote hate, but to present the data. We analyzed 17 countries, developed nations, immigrant destinations, the carriers of the flame. We looked at migration volume and speed, integration outcomes, social cohesion trends, crime patterns, welfare strain, geographic concentration, policy effectiveness, and we scored them, not to attack anyone, not to judge anyone, but to measure the risk. We're not measuring whether immigration is right or wrong. We're measuring structural resilience. How much stress can a civilization's institutions handle before they begin to fracture? These 17 reports are the results of that stress test. How close is the flame to going out? Here's what we won't do. We won't tell you what to think. We won't tell you what to feel. We'll show you the numbers. We'll show you the trends. And you decide. Because this is not about politics. This is not about left or right. This is about the future of civilization. And in the next episode, we'll talk about solutions. Not fantasy solutions. Not utopian dreams. Real, workable, win-win solutions. Solutions that preserve the flame. Solutions that help the sending countries rebuild. Solutions where nobody has to lose. But first, you need to understand the problem. 17 countries, 17 reports, 17 risk assessments. Not to divide, not to hate, but to see clearly. Because you can't fix what you can't see. And you can't protect what you don't understand. The flame is flickering. Let's decide together what to do about it. Stay tuned.
Sister Star Dreamer, Emma's been thinking about something. If a library catches fire, you can't save it by building more libraries in other countries, right? You have to put out the fire first. But what if the fire is really, really slow? So slow that nobody notices? Do you wait until the whole library is gone? Or do you say something, even if people get mad at you? Emma thinks. Sometimes the kindest thing is to tell the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Let's figure it out together, okay? Subscribe and see you next time, Giggles. Bye-bye.